Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart to heart conversations about their day to day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. So, welcome to the Healers Cafe. And today I have with me Diane Randall. She's a consultant with a core purpose and mission to revolving around empowering others to embrace their journey towards holistic well-being. So, rather than read more, I'm just going to jump right in and have you sort of explain a little bit. Well, first of all, welcome. And
Thank
also
you.
just to explain what got you on this journey yourself. And yeah, and then how did you turn it around and become a consultant?
Wow. How did I start this journey? This journey started, I say now, when I was 18 and my sister was murdered.
Yeah.
At that time, once that happened, and keep in mind, I had no knowledge of depression and sadness. I was just navigating in the world, feeling pretty lost and unhappy. That could have, I'd say now that was depression. And just back then when I was growing up, therapy wasn't a thing. You just something happened, you just kept going.
Yeah.
And for me in my 20s, as I got through my 20s being sad, I realized that I wanted to feel different. I wanted to something in me. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to come out of the depression and the sadness
Mm.
that I was in. But it's so interesting. I felt that I didn't see any I wanted to be happy. That's what I told myself, but I felt I didn't know anyone that was happy, which is interesting. So
Right.
I literally had to figure out, what does that mean? What does it mean to be happy? So in that process, I started reading books. Back then there were a lot of self-help books. So I would read, and then I would end up at a lecture. And make a long story short, as I navigated through lectures and workshops on being happy and feeling good, what resonated with me was that the truth was inside of me.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
The truth was inside.
Go figure.
So that put me on a journey for many, many years of
Yeah.
trying to understand, what does it mean to have inner strength? What does it mean to be resilient?
Yeah. 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 Well, especially in a society where, we're kind of taught to look for solutions outside, right?
Yes, we are taught.
Yeah.
We are taught, but I feel that I was so lucky in the path that I navigated was clearly showing me and telling me that the truth is inside, and I just needed to figure out how to get to it. I remember reading Elizabeth Lesser's book. It was called the spiritual. It was like the first book she read. It was the beginner's guide to spirituality, basically, and that concept resonated so deeply with me.
Mhm.
So once I discovered something that resonated with me, not only resonated with me, but made me feel lighter inside.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I would just stay on that path. And I'm telling you, I've gone in my younger years all over the United States and abroad, just trying to understand the different concepts that could help me just become not only happier, but healthier.
Mhm.
Um, Wanting to just be present. the all the concepts of that would make me a happier, healthier person.
Mhm, mhm.
So, as I navigated, I'm telling you, this was over 20 years. I think this evolvement went over 20 years. And that took me to a personal development course. That's how I got into life coaching. I wasn't trying to be a coach, but
Right.
I took the curriculum because I wanted to dive deeper into personal development, what those concepts mean.
Mhm,
And that led me to a behavior change because, okay, what does it mean for my behavior to change? Because in the world, typically, you don't change, you're too old to change, or, how do you figure out what change meant? And with intention, how do I
right.
live my life with intention, which was really it. And then I've gone to so many workshops, talked to so many spiritual teachers because I figured the secret sauce was it not just my mind and my body, but it was also my spirit. And believe me, I tried just the physical external way.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
tried just the mind shifts,
mhm.
but then the inner spirituality really what made everything complete, the mind, the body, and the spirit. And once I learned all these concepts and I was feeling better, people would literally ask me, "Wow, what are you doing? You look better, you feel better." It's always something positive that they would say to me about, how I was navigating in the world because some people knew me as this really sad, withdrawn person. And all of a sudden, I've changed,
Right,
you know.
right.
I'm smiling, I'm happy, and I just wanted more and more and more over the years, and what I realized was I needed to share what I learned with other people because in this world, we are taught to look outside of ourselves.
Mhm, mhm.
We have all this messaging and conditioning that keep us sad and just in a negative, toxic, just negative, toxic world and not being present, always distracted. So, what I do is I help people to become present, to
Mhm,
learn who they are, and to love who they are. And I
mhm,
meet them where they are. And I really try to empower them to know that it takes courage to change. It takes courage to be that person you want to be
mhm, mhm.
because there's always society telling us who we should be and how we should navigate life. All this programming that I call going on around the world. So that's my biggest passion
And
and purpose, I feel.
and how do people, and I don't mean technically, like they
Mhm.
look up on a browser, but what are they looking for to be able to find you? What is it that their need is, or you know, how does one happen to come your way?
Well, I always say my clients evolve because at first I was just, coaching time management. Basically, time management and work-life balance. Never even thought about the inner part. So, how people find me is if they're looking for holistic living, if they want their whole life to come together, not just their physical aspect, but their mind and their physical, mental, and physical and spiritual selves to come together. Because that's what I teach them how to get inner strategies to
Mhm,
create the lives they truly want.
mhm,
And a
mhm,
lot of people who aren't really living their true life, who aren't really living an authentic life. They're living for everybody else. Those are the people that get
mhm.
attracted to me.
So,
People who Mhm,
sorry. So I mean, it's kind of a marketing question, but it's not really a marketing question. It's like I'm going,
mhm.
both angles, because often people don't know quite, they know what their problem is, but they're not aware of what they're looking for. But are you able to reach people with what they're looking for, or more from that, like, my life is chaos, I'm not making any sense of it anymore, I don't have a purpose, I don't have time, that type, is
Oh
it?
yeah, 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 yeah. I get you. I get you. So, or they say, you know what, I'm okay. So what I ask them when they say, I don't have time, I say, well, what would your life look like if it represented what you really, really wanted?
Mhm,
And sometimes I get them to journal that as well. And a lot of things come up out of that type of exercise because you're right. It's not on the tip of your tongue.
right.
Just like me, I didn't know I was depressed. I really didn't know. I knew I was sad, but I didn't pull it all together.
No, no,
So
right.
so sometimes, I mean, so it's basically asking those questions, what would your life look like if it represented what you truly want? And what do you want? And sometimes you don't know what you want, you just know what you don't want.
Right.
So that journaling process
Mhm,
helps. The inner critic, what are you saying to yourself?
mhm, mhm.
And in the process of reframing that,
Yeah.
a lot of what they want does come up because it's just what they've been telling themselves, which blocks all the things that they really want. So when they say, I want to be a teacher, and I'm just using that basically. Okay, what
Yeah.
would that look like? Who would you be talking to? What grade would you teach, when you're journaling? Because that helps bring what they want
Mhm.
from just a concept in their mind
Yeah.
to reality on paper.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I say, well, who would you be if you could teach? How
Mhm.
would you feel if you could teach? Oh man, I'd be happy. I'd be teaching the sixth grade. That is how it's really getting them to tune in and connect to
Mhm.
that person they want to be.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. And then now I'm going to go marketing for a moment here,
Okay.
because you're like a perfect candidate. You didn't know what you had, and took you 20 years to resolve it through reaching out just about everywhere, which, if we were to make that faster, right? So now you have something you want to share. You're very clear what it is and how you help people. But do you do like ads in, I don't know, Facebook or YouTube, or do you do it's all like referral and therefore
I have two books. And
okay,
I do ads. I do everything. I do the ads, but I learned a long time ago that my business is not for everybody.
right, right, right. Yeah, right, yeah,
And I teach. I teach personal development courses at a local college.
okay,
Workshops that I've designed. That's how I had to learn to get the word out because people are
nice.
not just standing in line trying to heal.
What would
Exactly.
your life be like if you were pain free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
exactly. No, that's what I'm asking you. Yeah,
No, but I do attract the people
yeah.
who really want to live a life because like I told you, my life evolved over time. I don't want people to have to discover
Beginning.
everything,
Yeah.
every detail. So I've written 2 books, one called Jumpstart Your Life. I wrote that in 2017, and I wrote a book and it was published in the summer of 2024, July of 2024, called A Whole Life Nourish, plant-based living with a holistic approach. Because what I also realized, it's not just the mind, body, and spirit. What am I putting into my body?
Mm, mm. Right, right.
So I've evolved in ways that I never anticipated,
Mm,
taking one day at a time, uh,
mm,
uh, just small steps. And that's what I tell people also. It's just small steps towards whatever you want.
mm,
But how do you empower yourself to do it? Because first we have to release all those things that are keeping us stuck, because if we could do it, we would have done it, right? So we also have to look at, what are those barriers? What's keeping me in the
mm,
place I'm in? So it's really examining those things so you can know what to let go of, or at least give yourself permission to explore.
mhm, mhm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But I like the idea of so you're teaching it. I mean, so basically it's become your it's your mission, right? So
It's my mission.
yeah. So therefore teaching makes sense. And then from there you attract the people who want to have what
Who
you
want it?
have.
And I have a podcast called
And
Plant
you
Based Curious, and it
okay.
talks about whole living, holistic living,
Right.
behavior change, veganism, the whole thing. And that's for people who are curious.
Right, right, right. Exactly. Yeah, so that's how you have sort of all the aspects of the marketing.
Yes,
Those
yes,
that don't know that they need your service yet, and those that are actually looking for it.
ex-
You've sort of built the entire, pyramid of
yes,
reach.
but
Mhm.
right through intention, because I tell my students and people to come to my classes, I teach the tools that no one teaches us about life.
Mhm, mhm,
So through my teaching and the classes and the podcasts, and if you want to go further,
mhm,
I used to have a platform, a group, not a group, but I had a whole community that I built,
mhm,
which I I wasn't it was another thing where, okay, build it and they will come, right? And that didn't necessarily happen. So I peeled that back,
yeah,
and I have a coaching group. And
right.
once people, sign up, get on the wait list and let me know they're interested in a topic, then we can form a small community. I love that. I love that so much better than
Mm,
just trying to build it and
yeah, yeah.
hope everybody shows up. So it's really it helps people to relax and not feel pressured, you
Mhm,
know, to
right.
feel like they can reach out. We can have a small group if it's if it's on being plant-based, if it's okay, what is holistic living? I'm a busy professional, I'm stressed out, or I'm a just busy in my life with the busyness that's all around us, and I am just drowning. So
Mhm,
maybe that's where we come together and we talk about, what can
mhm,
we do to build that life out,
mhm, mhm,
to make that life more manageable, to make that life less stressful, to prioritize holistic health and well-being.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, no, it feels very organic the way,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I've learned that it has to be this kind of work, has
Mhm.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it touches on deep, deep, deep hurt, deep pain,
Mm.
things that people aren't ready to talk about until they're ready to talk about it.
Right.
I've had people in my classes say, "Well, I don't wanna go there." I said, "Well, that's where we need to go." The very place you don't wanna go. So the classes, work well because
Mm,
like you said, people are showing up that one, and I just had to create that kind of marketing, you know, where
okay.
I have to be intentional with the subject, and I have a blog. I have a
Mm,
blog, so you get a clear idea of what I'm about and what I teach when I talk about whole living because my blog posts are based on holistic insights to what all that means,
mm,
along with the plant-based.
right,
Uh,
right.
yeah, and the veganism, I mean, it just expanded to the whole universe, the whole world actually. The animals, the planet, it just kept evolving past me.
Well, I think that's the nature of a mission, right?
Yes, 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 yes. One
Guide.
that I didn't have a checklist.
No, right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's interesting because I think your process resonates more true to I think how it actually happens than when you go to courses to learn marketing or to how to get out there, whatever. I mean, they're cookie cutter. They all say
Yeah,
they're not, but I don't think it's that simple. It
no.
is a just like holistic health is holistic. Holistically getting your message out is how it happens, right? So
Yes,
you know,
yes.
you have to kind of course correct and then sometimes do things that may not be as comfortable, if you don't
Right.
speaking or you don't like whatever it is. Like,
Yeah, I had, I learned that this is what I have to do because people aren't knocking my door down.
right,
I have
right.
to I have even if they're thinking about it, some people don't wanna acknowledge that because it might be too painful to talk to me,
Yeah,
you know? So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
s
No, it's an interesting anyway, I'm glad I had no idea where we'd go. Actually, very, very interesting because every person who's in as a practitioner or helping people has the question, how do they get the word out of what they do, right?
Yes.
And always, needing to make decisions. Do I do this? Do I do ads? Do I focus on what people want or focus on their problem? Do I focus on, you know, do do community? Do I help everybody, which you're told you can never help you can, but
That's right, you can't,
you can't
you
put that
can.
out there, but you can,
Right.
you got to focus on so there's so many belief systems on how to do
It's
marketing, right?
so many, but what I believe we all have in common is that we want love, we want joy, and
Right.
we all wanna be happy. That's
Yep.
what we have in common. I don't care who you are, So it's how do I get there, What does that
Yeah, well,
mean?
exactly, exactly. And if you're a role model of it and people can feel that it's true, I mean,
Yes.
why not learn from you, right? Like in a sense, right? If they need a guide, you're not gonna have somebody with 10 degrees that looks miserable and right, you're gonna pick somebody who's
Well,
there.
I learned from that too. When I first started, I did coach, and
Oh,
I coached for probably 3 years, from 2006 to 2009, and I'm telling you, I was miserable. I had all these people showing up thinking that I'm gonna fix them. I got a magic pill or bullet to give them, and I really did not like the coaching anymore. It just wasn't something, and I literally shut down my practice because I didn't wanna keep showing up, wanting the clock to hit the 30 minutes or the 45 minutes because people and it was the people that I was attracting, all kinds of people who, they wanted to lose weight or they wanted to do different things, but they thought I had the answer or I was the one doing the work and they'd show up, they didn't do their homework, I just felt okay, this is not working because I'm not happy.
yeah. But so how do you, because I mean they seem like they have the victim mentality, right? It's not
Yes,
them,
yes,
we're gonna solve it, right? They
yes.
have they have nothing to do with it.
Right, exactly.
So how did that shift that when you went into more the teaching and consulting, that you actually attracted doers rather than victims? How
First
do
of all, I did it did I shut it down and I literally had to sit with it, to really figure out. And then I said, okay, I'm going to teach until I figure it out. So I started teaching courses like freeing yourself of limiting beliefs. I just started teaching setting healthy boundaries. Just all those courses that allow you to tap in. And I taught this course called Jumpstart Your Life for like 10 years. And that's what I turned into a book. So the courses allowed me also to evolve. And
right?
as I taught, I evolved with the students.
Yeah,
Actually, they informed me a lot.
yeah,
They
yeah, yeah,
informed me a lot.
yeah.
And so today, people show up. I still teach the setting healthy boundaries because many of us people need that.
Mhm.
Say I do figure out the life I want to create. How will I protect that? What does that look like?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and I teach people, that it takes courage because it's not easy.
Mhm.
It's not easy. It's not something, wow, I'm a different person today. So I get to organically teach people how to sit with it, what they want, journal. We do a lot of journal writing, affirmations, uh, just thinking about and visualizing that life that we truly want. The negative self talk, what does that all mean? Because we all can relate to that.
Mhm.
How do I even get past that? So I have to tackle
Mhm.
or I have to talk about those things because they're there. Because if we don't talk about the barriers where people are stuck in the negative self-talk, how in the
Mhm.
world are they going to hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know. So the key is, especially in the classes, and that's where I really feel I evolved, just the teaching part. 13 years I've been teaching these courses, that I was able to tap into just asking them to give themselves permission just for the 3 hours or the 2 hours we might be together. So that
Right.
allowed people to open up.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
just jumping into something, what boundaries? I don't have any boundaries. My husband, my kids, I can't do anything for myself, and helping to understand that they matter. They
Mhm.
matter.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting, like it's a full circle, right?
Yes,
In the
yes.
end, you're a victim until you know you matter.
Until you know you matter. And I teach people a lot of what I've gone through,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Makes
a
sense.
lot of what I've gone through, being that victim, being that withdrawn person, feeling like anything I said did not matter, just didn't
Right.
matter.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, Diane, our time is up.
Wow, that went fast.
So do you have a play? I mean, we're gonna put, the write up and all that, but is there any last word you want so people can connect with you or
Okay, people can connect with me at www.dianerandallconsults.com. They can, if they want to know more about me, they can read my blog. They can purchase my book, A Whole Life Nurse, Plant-Based Living with a Holistic Approach, or the Start Your Life book. But they can also download just a free guide.
okay?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you very much for spending time together.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.